Okay, so you guys have been sending in some really fascinating stuff lately. A lot of it focusing on, well, nature,
Yeah,
and specifically its power.
yeah.
The raw forces at play on this planet. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a book all about that. It's called Earthquakes by Robin Jacobs.
Oh, very cool.
And we're going to try and pull out the most interesting stuff, the most crucial information from the book to give you a solid understanding of earthquakes and related natural disasters
Sounds good.
without, bogging you down in the technical details. So it'll be like your shortcut to some pretty interesting knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, even the title Earthquakes, it's so direct, but it really opens the door to like a much wider understanding.
Yeah.
And the book, as you say, it really acts as like this exciting atlas, of the
Yeah.
planet's most powerful events. And it's not just cataloging destruction, it's actually revealing the forces at play, the
hmm
forces that make these things happen.
Yeah, I really like that about the book. One of the first things I noticed was how it almost makes the events themselves, the earthquakes, the
Right.
volcanoes, the tsunamis,
Right.
almost like the main characters of
Absolutely.
the book. And I think Sophie Williams's illustrations really help with that. They really bring those forces to life visually.
They do. And you know what I think is really interesting is that instead of focusing on the human stories, during these disasters, the book really focuses on the phenomena themselves.
Right.
Like it almost gives them center stage.
Yeah.
And the pictures and the diagrams, they do so much to make these abstract ideas, like plate tectonics and things like that.
Right.
They make them concrete.
Yeah, they make them tangible. It's like, I don't know, I could almost feel the ground, splitting apart during an earthquake or see the sheer volume of water
Totally.
involved in a tsunami.
You really get a sense of scale
Yeah.
from those
So
pictures.
it's almost like we're taking a guided tour, through these
CR.
displays of nature's power. So
Yeah.
let's start with earthquakes since that's the title of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it explains that these happen because the Earth's outer layer is broken up into these huge pieces, right?
Yeah, right.
Almost like a giant cracked eggshell.
Exactly.
And they're always on the move.
They are. That's the thing. Yeah. It lays out this concept of plate tectonics, really clearly.
Yeah.
Imagine like the Earth's surface is this massive jigsaw puzzle,
Okay.
and the pieces, which we call tectonic plates, are slowly but constantly shifting and bumping into each other. And it's at the edges of these plates where they interact, where
Yeah.
they collide, slide past each other, or pull apart from one another.
Yeah.
That immense energy builds up.
Yeah.
And when that energy is suddenly released,
Yeah.
it sends these vibrations through the earth, which we feel as earthquakes.
Right.
And what's so interesting is that the book also, I'm pretty sure it touches on how scientists measure the strength of these earthquakes as well.
Right.
Giving you a sense of just how much energy we're talking about here.
It's a huge amount of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just the science of it either.
Yeah.
Right? It looks back on some really significant earthquakes in history to put things in perspective.
It does.
Like how they can reshape the landscape.
Yeah.
Like even alter the course of rivers.
It does. And, I think it's so crucial to include those historical examples.
Yeah.
Because it really connects these scientific explanations
Yes.
to real-world consequences.
Absolutely.
So you understand that these aren't just theoretical events,
Mhm.
These are forces that have shaped civilizations,
Yeah.
and they've had huge consequences throughout human history and continue to do so. Like think about the Lisbon earthquake in 1755.
Right.
It caused widespread devastation and really spurred, a lot of advancements
Yeah.
in the way we think about building earthquake-resistant structures.
Right. So moving on from earthquakes,
Mhm.
the book pretty naturally goes on to tsunamis.
Yeah.
And it explains how these enormous waves
Mm.
are often triggered by earthquakes that happen under the sea. It's almost like one really powerful event setting off another.
That's exactly what happens when a large earthquake occurs on the ocean floor. It can displace a huge volume of water.
Yeah.
And that displacement creates these powerful waves that radiate outward from the epicenter. And it's fascinating because these waves can travel across entire oceans,
Really?
almost unnoticed, because in deep water they might only be a few feet high.
Oh, wow.
But as they approach shallower coastal areas, the wave slows down and its height increases dramatically.
Oh, wow.
And that leads to that immense destructive power that we associate with tsunamis. And the book does a good job of showing that transformation visually.
And then the focus shifts to volcanoes.
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting how the book differentiates between the types of eruptions that you get.
Right.
The slow-flowing lava versus the much more violent explosive ones. What's behind that difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. It comes down largely to the type of molten rock or magma involved
Okay.
and the amount of gases that are trapped inside it. Think of it like a bottle of soda.
Hmm.
If you open it gently, the gas escapes slowly. Okay.
That's like a slow lava flow. But if you shake the bottle up and then open it, the rapid release of pressure causes an explosion.
Right.
Similarly, magma that's less viscous, meaning it flows more easily,
Yeah.
and has fewer trapped gases,
Mm.
tends to produce effusive eruptions with lava flows.
Yeah.
On the other hand, more viscous magma with a lot of gas trapped in it
Right.
that can lead to explosive eruptions that send ash rocks and gases high up into the atmosphere.
And that's the kind of thing where like whole cities can be buried.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And the book also explains, volcanoes tend to form in specific areas,
Oh, right.
often where tectonic plates are either colliding or pulling apart,
Okay.
which creates these pathways for magma to rise to the surface.
Right. So not just these three big geological disasters are covered.
Yeah.
It also touches on other powerful natural events like avalanches,
Yeah.
which can be incredibly destructive, and weather-related disasters such as hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards. Exactly. It provides this broader view,
Yeah.
of natural hazards. So for avalanches, it explains how unstable snowpacks on steep slopes can suddenly give way.
Right.
For weather-related disasters, it delves into the atmospheric conditions that create these powerful storms,
Right.
the warm ocean waters that fuel hurricanes, the rotating air masses that form tornadoes, and the specific temperature and moisture conditions that can lead to blizzards.
Right.
And importantly, it includes examples of extreme historical events for each of these types of disasters,
Yeah.
highlighting the potential scale and impact of these diverse natural forces.
Yeah. And it's not just explaining what causes these things, right?
Right.
The book has a really practical side.
Hmm.
It includes advice on what to do to stay safe if you find yourself in the middle of one of these events.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable about this book, providing that clear, actionable safety advice. Really empowers you with knowledge that could potentially save your life one day. Even a
Mhm.
simple guideline like knowing the drop cover and hold on procedure during an earthquake
Right.
gives you a concrete action to take, which can reduce panic
Yeah.
and increase your chances of staying safe. It's about moving from simply understanding the danger to knowing how to respond effectively.
So when you step back and look at the book as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like there's a couple of really strong underlying themes, right?
Mhm.
One is obviously the sheer immense power of nature.
Absolutely.
And the other is the scientific understanding that helps us make sense of these events.
Right.
It's almost comforting to know that these aren't just random acts of chaos.
Exactly. The book emphasizes the incredible forces at work on our planet, reminding us that the Earth is this dynamic, ever-changing system.
Yeah.
But equally important is how it grounds these events in scientific principles.
Right.
Understanding plate tectonics, atmospheric science, and other related fields allows us to see the patterns and processes behind these disasters.
Right.
And this demystification can be really reassuring.
Yeah.
It replaces fear of the unknown
Yes.
with a sense of understanding.
And this ties into something else in our notes here. The book touches on the potential connection between human actions, particularly climate change, and whether some natural disasters are becoming more frequent or more intense.
Right.
That's a really important thing to bring up in a book like this, especially for younger readers.
It is. It's a critical connection to make. By raising this issue of climate change, the book encourages us to think about our relationship with the planet
Yeah.
and how our actions have far-reaching consequences. It prompts us to reflect on, whether things like burning fossil fuels are contributing to changes in the Earth's systems
Yeah.
that might worsen certain natural hazards. And it's a subtle way of fostering environmental awareness and a sense of responsibility.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the author Robin Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
Her background is in earth sciences, which makes sense,
Yeah.
given the topic. And she's also a writer for children's television and books in the UK. So
Oh, wow.
she must have a knack for explaining these complex ideas in a way that's accessible.
Absolutely. I mean, that background in earth sciences provides a solid foundation of expertise
Yes.
for the book's content. But combined with her experience, creating media for younger audiences,
Yeah.
it really suggests that she has the skill for translating complex scientific concepts
Yeah.
into clear, engaging language that's easy to understand. And I bet her interest in environmental issues
Yeah.
probably also informs her approach to the subject matter,
Right.
aiming to educate and inspire curiosity about the natural world.
Yeah. And it sounds like the book has been really well received.
It has.
The reviews highlight its clear explanations and engaging visuals and say it makes a potentially scary topic understandable for younger audiences.
Right.
So it seems like teachers and parents find it to be a really valuable resource for education.
Yeah, the positive feedback speaks to the book's success. Striking that balance between providing accurate scientific information,
Yeah.
but presenting it in a way that is accessible
Right.
and captivating. And the safety tips make it even more practical, for educators and families.
So if someone listening to this finds this topic intriguing and wants to explore further, the material that you sent included a list of other books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It looks like there's a mix of nonfiction books that cover specific areas like weather volcanoes and earthquakes in more detail, as well as fiction books that weave natural disaster themes into their stories.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great resource for anyone whose curiosity has been sparked.
Yeah.
The nonfiction titles, they allow for a deeper exploration of specific types of natural disasters and the science behind them.
Right.
And the fiction books, they offered a different kind of understanding
Yeah.
by exploring the human experience of these events, the challenges, the resilience, and the impact on individuals and communities. It's a great way to approach the topic, from multiple angles.
Right.
And continue that learning journey.
So to bring it all together,
Yeah.
it seems like the real value in understanding natural disasters
Yeah.
is it goes way beyond just knowing what they are.
Absolutely.
It's about demystifying these powerful forces, gaining that crucial knowledge about how to stay safe, sparking a deeper curiosity about the world around us,
Yeah.
and even prompting us to think about our connection to the planet and our role in its future.
Exactly. And by understanding the scientific processes behind these events,
Yeah.
we move away from seeing them as these random occurrences
Right.
and towards recognizing them as integral parts of the planet's dynamic system.
Yeah.
This knowledge empowers us not only in terms of preparedness,
Yeah.
but also in fostering this greater appreciation for the complexity and power of the natural world.
Here's a final thought for you to consider. Now that you have this better understanding of the scientific explanations behind these powerful natural events, how does that change the way you think about your own place in the world and our collective responsibility towards the planet?
Right.
Does understanding the why behind the earthquake or the hurricane shift your perspective in any meaningful way?
Yeah. I mean, it encourages us to see ourselves not as separate from nature,
Right.
but as part of this complex and interconnected system
Yeah.
where our actions can have consequences.
Yeah.
And where understanding these powerful forces can lead to greater awareness
Yeah.
and hopefully more responsible stewardship of our planet.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Until our next exploration.
Thanks for having me.